Hey guys, how's it going? In a previous video, we have talked about on how we can install Bootstrap into our website, and we also create some stylings and basic layouts. So in this video, we're going to learn how we can interact our Django project to our database for the first time. So first thing first, before we want to interact into our database, we need to create something called model. And a model is basically a class which allows us to interact with a specific table in our database. So here in our to-dos app, in the models.py, we can create our first model. So here, we need to create a class called to-do, and it should extend the models.model class. And here, we define all of our fields. So here we need to create a field called title, and the title should be the type of models.char field, and the char field is basically a string, and it have a maximum length of 100. And we also have the is completed property, which tell us this to do is actually completed or not. And the data type should be models.boolean because it contains the true or false, and we need to say by default is false. So we can open up our terminal, and here we can say python manage.py and make migrations. So what this command does, it will automatically create a new migration for our existing model. And migration is basically a feature from Django which allows us to keep track of the SQL database schema. For instance, if in the future we want to add another field inside our to-do model, we can just create our field and we make our migrations, and then we apply that migration to our database so we can keep track of our SQL database schema, so we can have the latest database schema to make our app is working in every versions. So here we can run our migrations. We run to create our migrations, and the migrations is successfully created inside the to-dos migrations and initial.py. So if we go to migrations folder, we can see that we have a new file, and here it's basically a code that generated by Django, which tell us all of the fields and all of the properties of our models. So now we can apply those migrations by running python manage.py and migrate. So this will apply our migrations into our SQL database. And now what we can do is we can run our server, and we go to localhost 8000, and we can see that our application is still working. So what we want to do now is we go to views.py, and here in the home page we want to actually fetch our to-dos from our database instead of hard coding this to-dos right here. So we can create a new query called to-dos, and we need to import our model from .models. We import to-do, and here we want to say to-do.objects.all, and then we pass our query into our to-dos like this. So if we go to our browser again, we hit refresh, and we can see that we have nothing here. That's because we haven't created our to-dos yet. So to create a to-do, we can simply open up a new terminal, and here we can say python manage.py shell, and this will open up an interactive shell which allows us to interact with our model right here. So if we run it, and first thing first, we need to import from to-dos.models. We import to-do, and here we first want to check the objects to-do objects.all to fetch all of our to-dos, and we get a query set. And a query set is basically an array which contains all of our query result. So now we can say to-do.objects.create, and the name of our to-do, which is have the title equal to maybe learn Django. So we have successfully created our to-do, and if we fetch again, and we can see that in our query set we have our just created to-do. So if we go to our browser and we hit refresh, now we can see the to-do object 1. And it's a little bit strange because we want to show the title. So we can go to our home page right here, and here we can say, instead of to do only like this, we can say to-do.title. So if we go to our browser again, we hit refresh, now we can see our to-do title. So cool. And here we can create our to-do as many as we want. So if we copy this code again, and instead of learn Django, we want to learn Flask, and we also want to learn React.js. So if we reload, we can see all of our existing to-do. Now we have successfully interacted with our SQL database finally. So that's it for this video. See you guys in the next one.